Hi, welcome to another video about my fischertechnik railway in combination with a robo interface of fischertechnik and my BeagleBoard. Last time I changed some things in the setup and primarily the construction of the sensor. So this part. I brought the motor a little bit down and I replaced the wheels, so now it drives or should drive on the edges, and that is not quite successful yet. So there has to be made some changes, and those changes comprise the code most likely, but surely the sensor, because well, without running the motor, you can see that the sensor is actually way too flexible in its setup. I hope you can see that. And part of the cause is that the green track is quite flexible. It is not originally a train track at all, but I use it as such. And one other thing is that for it to be used correctly, the weight should be more centered. So those two ideas have to be set in motion yet. Another thing is that this lamp should be dealt with. When the sensor is being hit and goes in this state, fully pressed, then the lamp goes on. However, in the present situation it is not even remotely impressed, so the lamp won't work. I really have to change this construction somehow. So enough to work on, and although the lower the fixation of the lower height, make sure that it is a little bit flexible, stability. So I will have to take care of that, and I think the reconstruction of the carriage will come first. I changed the setup of the carriage a little bit. I put it more to the center, and let's see if that helps in any way. Let's run the program. And once again, although the force is pretty good, it doesn't even come close to touching the sensor. Well, it does the sensor in its entirety, but not the red part. So it does not have enough power to press the red part up. and the sleep of 6 seconds is also quite not of influence. So the question is now, why doesn't it go entirely forward? I'll stop the program and I'll see if I can realign some things. I also noticed that it is not completely parallel, which may be a bit of a problem as well. Just stretching it a bit and trying again. On its own it hardly moves, and that deserves some thought, because why does it go that way? Does it drive anyway if I, for instance, take the track away? Just a little side experiment. Does it drive like this? Oh, the answer is quite easily. Oops. So the answer is clearly yes, it drives. So let me stop it. So it drives quite fast. And now the question is, why does it drive on the tracks? Probably because of something I noticed just earlier. It's not exactly parallel. So I need to put more attention to the tracks themselves. How to get them exactly parallel. And if I manage that, I may get a lot of better results. I have kind of stabilized the tracks. Here I put them close together. Under the rest of the tracks I put this kind of element on various places, so it's much more horizontal. And let us test again. It doesn't make a very big impression on the sensor. Moreover, it doesn't seem to move a little bit, while when I put it here it runs like a charm. So another idea is to maybe replace these green tracks with something that more closely resembles a track. And I first have to see if that really works on those wheels, but I think they will. But this is not going to work, that much is clear. So what do I need for that? two of those yellow pieces, and if you look at this, they are actually just as long as those green tracks. I just have to find a way to keep them like this, at a nice distance from each other, and then see how this works. In vertical condition they are not as flexible as these green ones, so that may help too. And if you see that this is just stuck under the sensor, and with a little bit of help they get even stuck here. So there's not much driving at all. Of course I have to test if these will work at all. So what I will first do is make some construction that these are over the green one, and then see if that runs more smoothly before I completely reconstruct it. But in this situation there's no much improvement, so let's do something like that. As you can see, I put a little modification with those yellow parts, yellow strips on top of the green tracks. I did remove the sensor because otherwise it wouldn't fit, but for now let's see the difference, if there's any. Well, I think I can say that this is a big improvement. I just have to keep the wheels on tracks, literally. This is much better. So, with this improvement, I think it is safe to say that I should replace the green tracks and then see what else I can do. This is much better, but the only point is that it moves very fast and gets off it, but let's take that risk. And it is much less flexible, so I think that this would work better. So yes, let's do that reconstruction. So with a rather drastic reconstruction of the tracks, here the sensor, the sonar, and then the yellow tracks to the end, and here I put some kind of a block so it should not run off the tracks. And let's just see how well this works or not. You'll never know how a plan works. And this is another point. It works, but it doesn't stop at the sonar. So the speed is okay. I just have to make sure that that it doesn't collide with the sonar. And off screen I'll adjust the speed a bit, or the sleeping time more precisely, because I put it on 6 and now I put it down to 4. And running it, that is one. And this is a little bit of a problem because it is not on the tracks exactly. Nope. So I have to check why it runs like it does and why the sonar is not functioning as should. Let me just put it like this. There is, well, the sonar does work. Let me show you on screen what the nice result is, because this is not good. Let me go to the screencast. So, with the tracks replaced, it is quite obvious that sonar somehow doesn't do what it's supposed to. I'll let it freely run, and now I hold it. Oops. Right now it is 11. I bring it too close to the sonar, and there is immediately the problem, because it has already changed fan direction twice, and it is very close to the sonar, but that is working very slowly. Let me keep it at about 2 centimeters, and you can see there's now 2 centimeters, it's 4 or 5. So there is something that needs some fixation. I'll stop it right now, because if you can see, it should, if the distance is larger than 5, turn right, but it turns, it just changes between right and left just after 4 seconds, and that may be good. But here, if larger than 5, it should pull back to here. What I can do is let's see, how long is it? Oh, that's a good question. How long is the tracks anyway? The tracks is 17 centimeters long, just a little bit short of 17 centimeters. So and with the carriage about 4 centimeters, 5 maybe. That should be working alright, I should think. Let's just test it once again. Let me put it on tracks. And I notice it is not as stable as I hoped it would be. The question is, why is that? Where is the stability coming, the instability coming from? That is a very good question, because that is also, of course, of influence of the whole thing. Let's start again. And I do think why it does not work. I think the problem is that the sonar is too low for the carriage. So I think I will have to change that before I go on. And that is a good point. Although on the other hand, it is a 3D cone, and it should detect it anyway. Let's just run it again. One wheel already apart from the track, and that's what I mean. It is quite unstable now. The distance is fine, but the question is, why doesn't it return or change the fan speed? And that is what I have to investigate. With the tracks hopefully a little bit more stable, I've put this support more to the outside. Let me try again how stable I can get it. Will it work or won't it? Let's see again. Yeah, and that's a little bit of a problem. So the speed is dramatically improved by using these yellow pieces. However, what I should also do is include the sensor. And that is a little bit of a problem right now. But let's try to do it anyway. See if and how I can fix that. It should be around the same way. On this side. Just some testing and trying. Let's put it. No. It has to be lower. and this is far from stable. This is not the correct solution. And it is easily movable. So while the idea is a very nice one, the sensor, which is D8, and that of course is a point. No, sensor D8, this one digital 8, only senses for the lamp. And when smaller than 5, it picks up the distance, and if larger than 5, it just changes the speed for 4 seconds. And otherwise it runs for 4 seconds and then it goes again. So in this case, because of the much increased speed, I may have to change the algorithm as well. And that's a nice thing to do. So let's get back to the screen. So with the improved speed, higher speed, let's go through the algorithm. This is counterclockwise, and it just puts the it makes it sure that it goes to the sonar, if I'm correct, for 4 seconds, and then the cycle starts. Well, this is already in the cycle, and then if the distance is larger than 5 centimeters, go clockwise for 4 seconds. The point is that if I take this away, it does it for a very short time, and the question is if it will ever work. So what I can do, which is I think much wiser, put this to 1, and see what happens then. Then also put this to 1. I'm curious about what will happen. Just step by step. And indeed it goes very, very fast for 1 second. So maybe it helps if I reduce the speed to 4, because I remember that I put the speed very high because of the slowness of the tracks. Now I have very fast tracks, so the speed can be lower. Let's see how that works out. Is everything on the tracks? Now it is again. So let's see how this works out. And that is curious because now it gets to half the track and stops there despite the fan running. But anyway, you'll see that the distance gets lower than 5. And that is nicely set in. What I can also do, of course, is put this one here. Just a little experiment. Let's just do that. Let's put this in for 1 second. See what happens. Not this line. And then comment this one out. So both are dependent on the distance now. See what happens. And they are varying between 1 and 4 now, so which is not the entire tracks. So let me speed up to 5. It's a longer tracks, so that is one thing. But you don't really see that it is actually on a further distance. Oops. It runs off the tracks now. And outside the reach of the sonar. So let me show on cam. So with this slightly changed algorithm, I'll show what happens. It uses the whole tracks now. But it's still it still doesn't report distances larger than 5 centimeters. But it uses the sonar anyway. And with sleeping times for larger than of 1 second, I could improve, or I can speed up the fan. Although it is clearly an improvement, I'm not there yet, unfortunately. Let me speed up the fan a little bit. Let's see what happens. I will speed up to 6. Let's go. And now the distance goes to 3 and 5. And at the end of the tracks, it doesn't go beyond 5, but it does signal 3. And the end of the tracks is still not any further than 5, which is a bit weird, because this is about 5 centimeters. And the very end of the tracks is about 7, and I don't see that on screen. So I think this is an improvement over the green tracks, but improvements is still needed. And I'll leave that for next time, including the a new construction with the sonar, with the pressure sensor and the lamp. So for now, thank you for watching, and to be continued.